Just be patient with yourself because you're growing as well. You're learning as well. So yeah, just being patient. Just being patient with yourself.
Hello, lovely people. Welcome to my virtual couch. Happy Friday to you all. So I'm really excited about today because I have my village with me. I've got my right-hand woman. And today we're going to talk all things motherhood. So what I want you guys to do is maybe introduce yourself, not and how many kids you have, not necessarily their ages, but their age range.
Okay.
Because we've got to keep some confidentiality. And then we'll go from there.
My name is Cordelia. I have 2 boys, and they range from 2 to 6, so I'm still in the younger range of motherhood.
Yeah, Cordelia is my younger sister.
Oh yeah, you had to put that in there. Okay.
And my name is Nancy, and I'm a mother of 4. I have ranged from 1 year old to 11, and one of them being a bonus child.
All right, awesome. Okay, so first, cheers, ladies, because we got to take a little, cheers to motherhood.
Cheers.
Ching. Okay, so we're going to start with some questions. Describe motherhood in 3 words.
Okay. 3 words. Hard.
Okay.
Rewarding. And grateful.
Grateful. Okay. I would say unpredictable, fun, and anxiety provoking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I would say exciting, nerve-wracking, and full of surprises.
Yeah. Okay. So how would you guys say like motherhood has changed you guys?
That's a good question. Well, I feel I've never been an anxious person or thought I was an anxious person until I became a mom. For sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much about go with the flow type person. And with motherhood, go with the flow type person sometimes makes me anxious because I don't know what to predict. Like you said, motherhood's unpredictable. And I'm just like, oh my God, what are they doing? Oh my God, who's going to get hurt? And I've never been that type of a person.
Yeah. What would you say?
Oh my gosh, for me, it made me a little more bolder. Right? I feel like prior to motherhood, I am still shy, but I was very to myself. But I recognized after motherhood that I had to stand up for my children, right? Like I'm their advocate. So I didn't have time to really shy away from tough conversations and things like that. So yeah, to me, it kind of empowered me, though anxiety, I 1000% feel that too.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
We're really new. Like when people say, "Oh, yeah, I'm anxious," I say, "Anxious about what?" Like, it's fine. It'll be fine. Just go with it, whatever. And now I completely get what it means to be anxious.
Yeah.
Like worrying about certain things that really sometimes you don't really have to worry about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I realized too with the anxiety part is that's long term because as they get older, they go through different milestones and you have a new thing to be anxious about. Like I think about when my son was an infant, I was anxious about the breastfeeding and pumping and stuff. And then when he was 6 months, I was anxious about him trying solids. Is he going to break out of something, Yeah. And now that he's like a toddler, I'm like, please let us keep him out of the emergency room. So it's like, and then when he's 16, I'm like, please let him not get some girl pregnant or like, join the wrong crowd. So it's always going to be something different to be anxious about.
Yeah.
But I would say motherhood changed me in that I'm such a planner and an organizer and I can be rigid and the unpredictability just throws me off. Sometimes like we'll be walking out the door and he's like pooped. I'm like, I like to be on time, now I'm going to be late. So just the like adjusting to the unpredictability of things sometimes is, You guys are not drinking. I'm not.
We are.
Okay.
Yeah. Piggyback off that anxiety topic, I remember a major accident happened, and I think that threw me over the edge. That's when I really started to feel my anxiety come in because my biggest fear happened in real life. So I think from that point, I've always been like, oh my gosh, where are you going? Where are you walking? What are you doing?
It can traumatize you, I think. Yeah. Okay, so what do you when you look at motherhood, what did you think motherhood was going to be like versus what's happening now? So like perception or vision versus reality. Dun, dun, dun.
I was so naive.
Really?
Like I didn't know a lot, and I wasn't around a lot of people that were mothers because I was.
Yeah, you had
relatively a
your
younger
babies
mother.
before me. Yeah.
So I was naive. I didn't know what it like. I wanted to be a mother. I was excited for it, but I think I didn't realize all the things that came with motherhood.
Yeah.
Though I love my baby, so I've embraced it and I've grown and it's challenged me, and you know I've become a better person.
Yeah.
But I had to learn a lot.
Yeah, I'm the oldest of 4 siblings. So for me, I kind of knew what to expect because I was always that mom figure to my siblings. But the part that I didn't expect, like I said, is the constant worrying. Because you know, worrying for a sibling is different than worrying from your child because you're solely responsible.
Yeah.
Whereas a sibling, okay, yeah, I'm kind of responsible, but you know what? At the end of the day, like, what are my mom and dad going to do? You know? So that was like the whole, like, okay, I'm in charge of this human being, like, I was like, I feel like you're safer inside than out. Like, you know, just come back in. So that I wasn't expecting, you know, and I think so too. Everybody thinks, oh yeah, like have kids, go have it, but nobody really tells you like the after part. They say, oh yeah, you're pregnant, you have a kid, but nobody's there to follow up. So what happened after I told you to go ahead and have kids, you know?
Yeah, it's the stuff that you don't talk about. Right?
It's interesting because Nancy's the oldest and I'm the youngest. So I think that shaped our experiences a little bit too.
Yeah. When I look at perception versus reality, one thing that you told me was like, especially like when you give birth, like Pamela, like you also have to think about the aftercare, right? So I'm thinking about stuff like to get for the baby, like he needs this, he needs that, but you always said you also your body just went through trauma. You physically just had a baby, and then there's the physical care of taking care of yourself. So you need to bring stuff for yourself. So again, the perception versus the reality is like I'm thinking like, okay, like oh, it's gonna be great, but after giving birth, I still have to physically take care of a being while I'm physically not well. And nobody really prepared me for it. You told me about it, you know, and if you didn't tell me about it, like I wouldn't have brought stuff up myself. I would have just think about the baby. But like perception versus reality, just like I thought like I got this in the bag, like I know what I'm doing, but like I am a Google machine. Like I'm Googling everything, like is this normal? Is this supposed to happen? And I didn't think I would be as like going down the Google rabbit hole as I do now, you know. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
Nobody talked to me about breastfeeding.
Yeah.
And the challenges that comes with that. Yeah. So my first was tough. My second was easy. But I think my first was tough because I was so stressed out. So it made it that much more worse. But yeah, breastfeeding is one thing we don't talk about as well.
We really don't.
Nobody said how much it hurt. Nobody talks about that. There's a lot of minor details that people, I feel like, purposely omit. I mean, not really, but kind of like not to scare you off a little bit. I didn't know that my body was going to do that, you know?
But do you think it's because the reason why people don't talk about it is because everybody has different experiences? Right? Like, what do you think?
I think we just block it out. Like, no, was it post-traumatic stress?
Yeah.
You know, things people, they block them out, I guess.
You're right.
And I think people also think about the overall. Like
the
overall. So you're talking about the overall, so not the little details.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it doesn't come out sometimes.
Yeah.
But
speaking of breastfeeding, I remember when we were in the hospital. So the nurse comes in and it's like, oh yeah, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the pump on your boob, and this is hospital grade, it's very strong. So we're just gonna put this on your boob for like 45 minutes. I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. And she puts the pump on my boob, right? So the thing's going, and I'm sitting there, right? So I fall asleep a little bit, and 45 minutes later, she comes in, and we look at the thing, not a single drop. I'm like,
and you feel like the work, right?
Not a single, like I felt it tugging at my nipples. I'm like, this is working great. And I fell asleep, and it wasn't a single drop. And I think she could see the disappointment on my face, like, what happened? Like, this is supposed to be hospital grade. You told me this pump is hospital grade. She's like, it's okay, we'll try again. I'm just like dread, right? Like I just sat here for 45 minutes and not a single drop. And there's some people that are like oversuppliers. I feel like I just made just enough.
Yeah.
I just did just enough, and I just had to tell myself, like, as long as you're feeding your child, and my child was a big boy, so I just did just enough and a little bit to freeze. But yeah, nobody really talks about like the stress of breastfeeding and the pressure. Because even when you go to the hospital, they're promoting breastfeeding.
Yeah,
like, they're not.
they are.
You told me to get get as many formulas as you can.
Yeah.
They're not promoting formula. They're pushing breastfeeding. But if your body, sometimes if you feel like your body fails you, then what do you do?
And that affects your supply as well, the stress.
Yeah, but you can't help to stress because nothing's coming out. What are your favorite memories of motherhood so far?
I know that there's certain moments where I'm just like, oh my goodness, like I remember with my eldest when the first time she recognized like what it is that I do and how I do for her and everything like that, and she came up to me and was like, "Mommy, you're my best friend." And she was like, "I just love you so much." And
my heart.
she always tells Mommy, "I just love you so much. You're the best mommy in the whole world." Those are the moments where you're just like, okay, you know what? I'm doing something right.
Yeah. My favorite memories are when he does something unexpected or he says something unexpected where I'm like, I didn't know you knew that.
Yeah.
Or I know you like I'm just like, wow, like how do you know that? You know, he just surprises me. My favorite memories are when I'm on the floor with you running around on the couch. Like I'm being the fun parent because I feel like sometimes my husband is the fun parent, but I'm actually being silly with you and we're wrestling each other. Those are my favorite memories because I feel like sometimes as mothers, we're just doing what we gotta do. Make sure you're eating, you're healthy, you're clothed. But when I drop everything and I'm being silly with him, I think those are my favorite memories.
Yeah. And mine is the milestones for sure. Like watching them just grow up and the different milestones that they have. It's just excitement. It brings joy to your heart, right? So those are the moments that I cherish the most. And I have really athletic boys, so just being a soccer mom, I guess, gives me joy. But I love being out on that field and just supporting them and rooting for them.
Yeah. What has been the hardest period for you in your motherhood journey? Silence. I'm trying to think.
What's the question? What has been the hardest?
The hardest period. Talked about this a little bit.
My hardest period is anytime he's not well, because I feel so helpless. You know, I get super stressed out when he's sick. We've had to go to the emergency room 1 or twice, and it's just kind of like my baby is just not well. I think those are my hardest period where I feel really helpless. And I think like as mothers, we're like superhero to our children. So anytime he's not well, I'm not able to fix it. That's my hardest moment.
Yeah, so not being in control.
Huh?
Not being in control.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, yeah, the not being in control part, that's my hardest moment. Because I'm just like, what's happening? And why is it happening? And my baby's not well and I need him to be well.
I think the hardest moments for me are trusting someone new with your child.
Ooh,
those are hardest moments. When my first one started school, that was really tough for me. The times that we live in and the dangers that can happen and how, people around your children, they could negatively influence them, even positively influence them. I feel like that was tough for putting my child in the environment like, okay, what's going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen because I'm not there.
Yeah.
That was a tough moment for me.
Yeah.
And even seeing them, I remember the first time I had to let my daughter go away for a couple of days to visit family. That was tough. You're happy for them, seeing them grow and having fun, but it's kind of those times where you have to kind of let go a little bit.
Yeah.
Those are tough.
Yeah. I would say for me, it's when life is happening to them. So for example, like my oldest is in school. So when he encounters a challenging moment or, he has somebody doesn't want to play with him or, those conversations are very tough because it's life happening to them and you want to shelter them as much as you can and you just can't do that all the time. So for me, that's very tough when I can no longer shelter. And I have to sort of just talk through with you about life and life happening to you. And,
Sometimes I like to see him on the playground to see how he conducts himself. I try not to intervene too much. Like we were at a playground one time and it was like, my son is very fearless. So he went to some preteen girls. It was like, hello, I'm so-and-so. go. And they just like looked at him and walked away. And I was like looking at his demeanor. I know. And I wanted to run up to him like, it'll be okay. But like I looked at his demeanor and he kind of looked at him and then he went to the next thing. And I'm like, okay, you know, and that's things like handling rejection. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like it's gonna happen. So
Exactly.
you know, seeing how he handles that. But
Exactly. Or failures, because that happens as well, right? Like you gotta, what out of 7 in a test? Like what does that mean for you, right?
And the big thing is being able to teach your child how to cope with disappointment, because a lot of times when you do, a child or person doesn't know how to cope with being let down or things that go their way, it's like they get confused and don't know how to control their emotions, and other negative things can arise from that as far as thoughts. So being able to teach your child how to cope with, okay, someone doesn't like me, someone doesn't want to play with me, or someone says they're my friend, it's okay. You have, and I say, when that happens to my daughter, oh, somebody doesn't want to play with me, I'm like, yeah, but you have so many nice friends. You have so many more friends that want to play with you. Don't worry about that one friend that's sitting out your friend.
Think about your parenting journey so far. How is that different from how you would parent? Right? We're dealing with different generations, different time, whatever. How you were parent, how is that different from how you're parenting?
Growing up with my parents being from another country, so customs are different. Whenever I was told, if I wanted something and the answer was no, or I wanted to do something was no, it was never explained to me why. It was always like, just because I said so. Because I said so. And I'm like, so sometimes questioning certain things was like a no. And I feel with me now being a parent, if my daughter says, okay, you know what, I want to go do this. I says, no, you can't do that. But why? Because it's dangerous, because you can hurt yourself. Remember what happened last time? So that's one thing that wasn't happening when I grew up. It was like, oh, I said no, that's it. And I wasn't really, you know, able to question things. It was like taboo to question what your parents said. You know.
We've been talking about that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
My oldest does that a lot. Like he'll say why, and I always have to remind myself he's not defying my authority, and I need to explain to him because his brain is wondering why. So just a second ago, he was like, "Why can't I come in the room?" I said, "Because there's a lot of breakables, and you're gonna break something, or something's gonna fall, and it's not a safe place for you to be in right now." And then he was like, okay.
And then let it go, right?
So yes, it's tough because sometimes you're in a rush, you just want to say no, but taking that step back to say no, like I owe him an explanation because he's human. Right?
And I feel like our parents would be like, what in the world, what is this about? Right?
Like defying my authority.
And now we're talking about gentle parenting and all that stuff. And my parents are like, well, I don't understand this stuff. I'm going to do an interview with my mom about like our parenting differences and things. So that'd be interesting. But I think for me, it's the same thing. You know, just taking time to explain things, and we don't spank him, right? So that's different from me. Like I was spanked, I was beat the whole 9. So just refraining from that, because to me, I feel like, what are you teaching him by beating him or spanking or whatever? So that definitely is a different. I feel like that in my African culture, that's like what, you know. So that definitely is a difference for sure. The not spanking and explaining. Because that's going to be, my son's going to be like your son older. Like, we're going to have to talk about things. Putting my therapist hat on is one thing. It's like, if you always tell your child to do something just because, like, I think about, like, my husband and I have been talking about things like not just saying, give this person a hug or give this person a kiss, because you got to keep it real. If somebody asks them to do something that's not appropriate because they have been told to respect the elders' authority, they just do it. But giving them autonomy over their own body and their own right, then they will say, no, this does not feel comfortable. Because as a clinician, there are people that I counsel that say, well, I did it because that's what I've been told, right? I've been told to just respect authority. So when this grown uncle asked me for a kiss, I just did it, right? So teaching your children that, yes, you have to respect authority, but you also have autonomy over your own body. So I notice that I do it out of habit, like give so-and-so a hug, but I'm working on that. Not just, and asking him, do you want to give auntie so-and-so a hug? What are you all's mommy hack or time-saving tips?
My kids are on a strict schedule.
Yeah, they are. And I'm trying to get like you.
And it it's predictable. They know what to expect. It's less back and forth for us. Like for me and my family, it works for us to have them on a strict schedule. So if 6 o'clock is dinner time and 8 o'clock is bedtime, like that is what we're doing.
Yeah, and then they don't question because they know that's
That's just what we do.
Yeah, that's something that I'm working on. I think my son does have a schedule, but sometimes I'm like, oh, we'll just go off of vibes today. And that's, I do know that my son does need the structure.
And saving hacks. You know what? I'm a big, so I like to prepare everything, most things the night before. It will be a book bag, overnight bag, or lunch. Because first of all, I'm a night owl, so it's easy for me to do those things before I go to sleep. I am not a morning person. If I have to do those things in the morning, it throws me off. And I'm already not a punctual person. I'll just make it even more not punctual. But whenever I don't pack the bags, prep the clothes before I go to bed, that's the night I'm going to oversleep. Or that's the night where someone wants to have a tantrum. So for me, just doing those things the night before is less work that I have to do in the morning. And when I do those things, I would be like, thank goodness I packed her back last night because I don't have to do it this morning. That's me. I like to do everything the night before.
Yeah, I like that. Now that my son is in school, I lay out his clothes for the week. And every morning I don't have to think about what is he wearing for school. I just put his clothes on. And I keep the diaper bag in the car because sometimes I forget, I'm not gonna lie, and I stock the diaper bag with snacks and stuff because there have been some times where I'm like, oh, we're gonna go down the street real quick, and then I don't need the diaper bag, and then guess what happens? Like you'll have a poop or something will happen. So I just keep the diaper bag in my trunk, and we have another one in the house, so I don't have to go back and forth because you can easily forget, like, oh man, I forgot this in the diaper bag, and so I keep one diaper bag in the car, in the trunk at all times, and I keep one at the house. So I would say that's my tip.
Yeah. Another one I have, speaking of like clothes and gear, so I don't think I mentioned it before, but I have all girls. And my girls, they like to wear their dresses, they're at that stage, so they fight if they don't get to wear something, or if I get one dress and they get the other dress, they look at each other like, how come she used to wear a dress, or how come they get to wear this color? So what I do is I match their style. They don't have to.
They're so cute. They always matchy.
Yeah, they don't wear the same things. But if one was wearing a dress, they're all wearing dresses. One's wearing a skirt, they're all wearing skirts.
I like that.
If one likes to wear this color, you always coordinate. It just makes things easier because there's no fighting. Yeah. As far as like, oh, how come this person got to wear this or whatever. So I like to match their level of style or like.
So well, since you have girls, the first thing I think about girls is hair. Do you have a hair hacking tip?
A hair hacking tip? You know what? So. No.
How often do you do their hair?
Okay, it depends. But I'm gonna tell you, you already know. Like I've always liked doing girls' hair. I've done.
You are meant to have girls.
Yeah, I sometimes when I do their hair, I'm like, okay, yes, there's a reason why I have girls. I like their hair done, and I'm like, and I would see sometimes before I had kids, I would see girls, and I'm like, they're gonna let them out of the house like that? They do their hair. Like I said, I was judgy on.
I might be one of those. If I had a girl, I might be one of those moms whose hair who kids go out with their hair looking crazy.
And I'm like, I mean, that's what I was judging. But I was just like, okay, maybe I have a rough day with her. I get it now. Yeah. Because let me tell you, one of the most stressful days for me is hair wash day. Okay?
That sounds stressful.
Hair wash day is very, very stressful for me. I used to tackle everybody one day. Now it's spaced out. I do what I can that day and we'll just finish it the next day. Yeah. But that is one of the most stressful days for me.
Yeah, you're meant to be a grandma and I can't do hair.
I could imagine. The barber's my best friend. Just take it all off.
What is the best advice on motherhood you've received and what's been the worst?
I'm not starting.
You don't have to say who gave you the advice.
Best.
I'll go. The best motherhood advice.
Oh, okay, I got one.
The best. No, you want to go?
No, go ahead.
The best motherhood advice I've gotten is give yourself grace. Let grace be your middle name. and try not to compare. I'm working on that. And I'll come back to my worst. I got to think about that.
The best advice I got, and actually it was from my brother.
Oh, okay.
And when I realized it, he made me realize, he told me that even if you don't think you're doing a good job, your child always thinks you're the best at it. And so when things don't go according to plan, or you don't have things, it's like a lot of times your child doesn't even notice. So that's when it's like, I guess it falls to giving yourself grace. But then he was like, at the end of the day, you know, your child's still gonna love you.
Yay, it's a brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
My best is similar to yours. Just be patient with yourself. Just be patient with yourself because you're growing as well. You're learning as well. So yeah, just being patient. Just being patient with yourself process.
Yeah. And what's been the worst advice?
I'm trying to think about that.
Well, I will say when he was an infant, somebody told me don't hold him too much because you're gonna spoil him, and then I realized you can't really spoil an infant. Like you've got an infant that was in your womb in this warm cocoon for like what 9 months, and then they come out and they're like leave him be, right? You can't really spoil an infant, so they'd be like you're holding him too much.
Someone told me that was their worst advice too.
Really?
And yes. And they told me when I had my child that was already. They said, don't listen to say hold your kid as much as you want to hold them.
Yeah. Because they're gonna grow up and they're gonna be like, okay, bye mom, I'm going to the mall with my friends.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I remember when I used to hold you.
Those you have to cherish those moments.
Yeah.
Because there will be a day where you won't feel as needed.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I don't know why. I just had a thought. I'm gonna go back to one of the questions. Like what was the question? What has been the hardest period for you in your motherhood? I'm gonna say sleep. Like I'm gonna keep it real. Like sleep has been one of my hardest thing to tackle because
yes.
my son is a toddler and he still wakes up in the middle of the night, and I feel like I've tried everything. I've tried the cry it out method. I've tried get in the room and leave. I've tried in the bed. I like
That's funny you say that.
that child don't sleep.
I
Okay.
personally think it's payback because before she had children, she barely slept.
That is true. He
And now all of a
don't sleep.
sudden you want sleep.
When you said sleep, I wasn't thinking about his sleep. I was thinking about your
Oh,
sleep.
mine is both. I don't get sleep and he doesn't sleep. And I'm trying to figure out how he can sleep. Yeah. How can he sleep throughout the night? I have tried, you name it, I've tried it.
Do you remember, speaking of sleep, when I had my first and you came over and was like, hey, okay, what do you need? And I was just like, I'm just here to help you if you want to take a nap. I'm like, I don't need a nap, everything's fine. And we're sitting in my room and we're basically, and we're talking. Next thing I woke up, I was like, I'm like, what happened? He's like, you've been sleeping for 2 hours. I was like, what?
But that is so sweet because that's the support we all need.
I was like, what happened? I was like, where's the baby?
I legit was, no, but you woke up, speaking of anxiety, you woke up and you're like, is she breathing? I said, yeah, Nancy, she's fine. And I realized, I legit was talking to you and you just like,
You're like, you sleep for 2 hours? I was like, what?
and I was like, I just gotta let her sleep because clearly she needs it. Yeah. But why do we always say we're fine when we're not?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you think you're fine. You're
Yes.
running on like batteries.
Yes.
You think
Yes.
you're good.
That's true. Yeah.
Talk about like anxiety and sleep. Did you guys do this? Baby home. Everything's different when you bring baby home, obviously.
Absolutely.
And for me, I don't know if you guys did this, but I was constantly checking to see if that baby's breathing.
Yeah, I still do that now.
So I remember like being over the bassinet, literally like this. Here's the bassinet. I'm like this. Like staring so hard, my eyes are like crossing.
Yeah.
And I go to, I say, babe, she breathing? She breathing? He's like, yes, she's breathing. I was like, are you sure? I was like, shh.
Yeah.
Especially when you've read all that stuff about SIDS.
Sis, I know.
Yeah. But then, second baby, I was like, baby, it's fine.
She good.
Don't wake him up. Don't worry. Don't give us a feeding. It's okay.
First baby versus second baby is a whole nother discussion.
Yes.
Did you guys see that commercial commercial about it's an old commercial about the woman, she had her first baby.
Oh, the diaper commercial?
Yes, and then the second baby, she took a car to the mechanic, and the mechanic's hand was all busy.
Yes.
She's like, hold this.
Yes.
To the baby.
Yes.
I'm like, that's like a true sentiment. So.
People telling me they're too attached to you, I guess.
Oh, the child is too attached to you.
I
guess
that.
to me, I don't know. I guess like I remember like I had like family members like tell me like, oh, he's too attached.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's not advice, but it's something that like yeah, he's going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if you guys know, so I run a postpartum support group, right? And one of the things like I tell the moms is like, listen, like there's been lots of books written about babies, parenting, and child rearing, but there's not a book written about your child.
Oh.
You know, you are the expert of your child. So sometimes like you might have the elders are like, oh, in my day, I did it this way, or this is the way you should do it. But at the end of the day, trust your instincts as your mom. You know your baby. You feel like, sometimes you feel like you don't, because the elders sometimes might make you feel like you don't. But you know the baby. You are the expert of your child. So trust your instincts. You know, so that's something that I like to give my
I gotta add actually words advice. So first baby breastfeeding was tough. We got through that, sure. But second baby was very, very successful. And then I had older women saying, cut him off at 5 months, cut him off at 6 months because he doesn't need to be on. He needs to eat real food now. And I was like, oh my God, I'm actually really enjoying this. It is so convenient, especially at nighttime. And it's like they wanted me to just stop it already. That was the worst advice.
Yeah.
Because we went on to do a year of successful breastfeeding. And I feel like it was so rewarding. Like I wouldn't trade that for the world.
Yeah. But there is a grief process that happens when you're done breastfeeding.
Oh yeah.
There's a grief process because that's one part of the bonding that gets cut off.
Exactly.
And people don't talk about that.
Yeah.
People don't talk about the grief process.
Yeah. I think too is like whenever you're like on the topic of breastfeeding, I feel like being around people that are pro breastfeeding and having a support system, that's important because it can be very discouraging to continue, you know. And like for me, like I'm one of those people, my mom was just like, just do it. Like, no. And that really helped me to like all my kids I breastfeed for a year. And so I feel like having that support system helped you to kind of keep going and not have feeling like it was taboo. Or, you know, because there are like some many benefits to it. You know? But each his own.
But if you can't breastfeed, that's why they have formula.
That's true.
And some of the moms in my support group like are not making the supplies, but they're putting so much pressure on themselves. And I'm like, once you relinquish the stress of it, you'll realize that you know it's a lot more easier. But there's just so much pressure. So
there is.
And I've had both scenarios, as I said, and in both scenarios, you do what's best for your baby. Right? They say what fed is best.
Baby gotta eat. Any last minute thoughts or feedback as we close this session on motherhood?
Find a mommy friend that gets you.
Having a support system is very important.
Like they said, it takes a village. It does.
That's her anthem.
Oh really?
I need it because this is what I say, like, look, this motherhood journey, you can't do it by yourself. You really, really can't. I'm sorry. Even if you're a single mother, you need somebody.
When I had my first, and the amount of support, like my mom coming over every day, my aunts coming over, just being there, and I was like, oh my gosh. I felt so loved and such a just you can do this, you know. You have people that help you, and even bringing the food that was you know a relief. Like I'd have to cook, and it gave me a newfound respect for people who are truly a single parent.
Truly a single
and
if you don't have anybody,
because I always, even to my husband, I was like, when we were in situations, I was like, I can't imagine what it's like to be a single parent, and much respect to those that are doing and killing it at the same time.
But how do you even take a shower in peace? Like you have to
much
Yeah.
respect.
I sent text messages to all my single mom friends that I have, and I was like, wow, I don't know how you're doing this. After I had my first, they all got a message from me.
Yeah. So I want to thank you, ladies, for this discussion, because I think this is things that people don't talk about, and I think it's important as mothers to support each other. I'm the last one to have a baby out of you all. You guys had babies first. So, I appreciate you all being my village and us having discussions. So thank you all. Love you all.
Anyway.
This new way.
Yeah.
Oh, the emoji?
No, they're doing, I don't know. I heard there's a new way to do that.
I know I just done this way. So I want to thank you all for watching. Again, my channel is slowly growing, so I appreciate it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and hopefully we'll have more of these discussions because this is fun.
This
felt
felt
good. Yeah, this felt
Time
good.
is flying.
Yeah, so thank you all, and see you all next time. Bye.